Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can know Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, stay Houston strong. Welcome all my friends to the show that is back again, and it is March Madness. Scott, are you feeling it? Is your bracket ready? Are you looking forward to a magical TCU Horned Frog run?
I'm looking forward to a shorter run, but hey, we got out of the first round, so I'm happy.
In honor of you guys, I did pick the Horned Frogs to win that game. You said it wasn't an upset, but hey, a 9-8 game, it's a toss-up. And, I didn't feel like Ohio State came in ready to play. I thought TCU took it to them. And hey, I think you kind of mentioned throughout the year that the results didn't really indicate maybe sometimes the way this TCU team was playing. So I thought maybe there was a chance, and hey, it worked out in your favor.
Well, yeah, I'm not picking them against Duke. I'm just going to say that.
I mean, hey, Duke didn't look great in their first round win. They almost lost to Siena.
My favorite
probably take the Dukies there as well.
My favorite thing is, have you seen, like we've mentioned them before, but these AI fake, coaching interviews?
Mm-hmm.
And so they had the Duke head coach, and he was just completely like, I can't believe we almost lost to a school that accepts 80% of their applicants. Everybody loves Cinderella, but we came out and dick slapped them in the second half, and against guys that are going to be insurance salesmen here in a couple of years. It was just.
Those are always funny. I do enjoy those. That is nice. The Cougars tipping off right about now, actually. I'll be sure to check in on them after the game. Obviously, you and I both know who my bracket has winning it all at the end. I pick with my heart, not with my head. But hey, maybe this will be the year I get it right with UH.
Well, they're in the same bracket, right? They're the 2nd seed, and with Duke as the number 1 seed. I mean,
and the games run through Houston in the 2nd round,
right?
3rd and 4th round,
right? And Duke did not look impressive, so I think they can be gotten, certainly.
All right, Scott. Opening question time. We'll talk more about Team USA's World Baseball Classic appearance later, but it makes me wonder, across all sports, all appearances in your lifetime, what do you think was the worst Team USA showing that you've ever seen?
Oh gosh, I think probably as a team. Are you talking team sports or just any sport really?
Take whatever route you want to take it, my friend.
I think there's been. I think the saddest one to me is there was a skater in '88 named Debbie Thomas. And it was one of those, she woke up at 4 a.m. Mom had to drive her 2 hours to practice, did this every day for 7, 8 years. And they just, they laid it on thick. That was the infamous Katarina Witt Olympic Games. I'm sure you were not watching in '88, But,
was a twinkle in daddy's eye in '88,
yeah,
Scott.
you were not watching in '80, but, I remember watching that Olympics with my uncles, and you know how they frequently run through, like, the condom supply pretty quickly at the Olympic
Yeah.
Games? So, an Italian, skier named Alberto Tomba really wanted to meet Katerina Witt. Now, have you heard the Katerina Witt story?
No, I don't even know who this is.
Oh, German figure skater, Tim. You know how the figure skaters wear, like, the kinda sheath, stuff here? She's the reason why,
Okay.
because she was built differently than most figure skaters,
I'm
and,
I'm 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 picking up on it.
yeah, and so, Roberta Tomba really wanted to meet her, and so I remember watching it, and I was really traumatized by my uncles who were, like, doing the voiceover dub, like, "I really want to rub you with my gold medals." It's like, thank you, for traumatizing the child me, uncles, but that's all right. But yeah, I think Debbie Thomas, I think was kind of similar to the guy, the quad king, this time around, where it was just a disappointment.
I think that's fair. Um, I think there's several World Cups where Team USA couldn't even get out of group play. I think that's pretty embarrassing. I think it was like 2004 Summer Olympics basketball
Oh
where they lost the third place game. I think ended up coming in fourth. That
yeah,
was pretty rough. Um, Trying to think throughout my life. Mine's a little bit shorter than yours, obviously. I quite frankly think a lot of the World Baseball Classic teams were disappointments, but I don't think giant failures, right? I think we've only won the Classic once, if I remember correctly. And quite frankly, we invented this sport and have the best collection of talent in the world, and you never find a way to get it done. It's a one game situation. Anything can happen in those scenarios. It is what it is. But I don't know. This one was pretty bad to me, Scott. This showing was pretty bad. It's honestly up there for me. Even though you came in second place, just the way everything happened. I think this is one of the worst Team USA showings in the history of Team USA existing, just like all things considered.
I think what makes it bad is not that they came in second place, because there are a lot of really dominant countries in the world.
Yeah.
It's the fact that Venezuela is not one of them. Italy's not one of them. I mean, to
And
me, if you had lost to Japan, I'd be like, okay, maybe, Shohei, really went nuts, or, maybe Yamamoto, was lights out, or, maybe Ime comes back and pitches a couple of relief innings and really looks good. I mean, but I just don't see, I mean, I guess, Dominican Republic is another team that I thought could have won it all. Um, but Venezuela, I did not have on my radar.
happy for them. Happy for
Oh yeah.
Jose Altuve. Honestly, a little disappointed for Jose. Like you could kind of see because he was sitting behind home plate for the last two games of Venezuela's run, and you can almost see the happiness for his teammates, but like the God dang, I wish I was out there moment. One thing that was really cool watching Miguel Cabrera, he lost it out there. He was crying. And Lopez, the Astros bench coach, who was the manager of that team, did that for free and literally talked about, if I can do this for my country, for my countrymen and women, it's worth more than any amount of money in the world. Um, how can you not root for that? So it was almost a weird sense where like I wasn't even necessarily rooting for Team USA, if that's weird to say.
No, it's not. And one thing I will say for Lopez is, yeah, he may not gotten money out of it, but he probably raised a few eyebrows when it comes to, managerial interviews down the line.
I can tell you right now, the Houston Astros Facebook pages are lit up with fire Joe Espada and let's put Lopez. Like we haven't even played a game yet, and they're already calling for the Astros to fire Joe Espada and move Lopez to the head job position. That's just that just show you the level of candor that happens in some of those Astros fan groups. But Scott, we're talking Astros. Let's keep talking Astros as we move on from the starting question. And you said something today to me, and that's going to be the title of this segment is could this pitching staff be good? Like I don't I'm like you, I don't want to be rose-colored glasses guy, but we're in a world where Hunter Brown's your opening day starter. I feel like you could pencil him in to be good. From what we've seen from Amai, looks pretty tasty. looks like something I'm ready to see 30 times throughout the year. Mike Burrows, I cannot wait to watch this guy throw. Lance McCullers is touching 95. I kind of want to see him in a non-spring training environment. I'm intrigued, hoping that maybe he's come back from injury and he's looking okay. CJ, I'm nervous, but hey, there's other options there. Blue ball could be a useful piece. I don't know. Tang, is it Tang or Tang? I think he's going to be a breakout character. He, to me, is one of those classic Astros get a guy with a high ERA and go, hey, your slider sucks. Stop throwing your slider. And next thing you know, he's got like the 2.5 ERA. To me, he seems like a candidate for that, Scott.
Yeah, I like what I've seen from him. This Lambert kid, he went today. Today wasn't quite as good. I mean, he went 3 and was it 2/3, gave up 3 runs. Weiss kind of had some trouble today as well, but he's a guy that's kind of intriguing because you're gonna even with a 6-man rotation with CJ and with LMJ, you're gonna need some tandem outings at some point down the line. And so having a couple of guys that can go 2, 3 innings, I mean, I like having in this pen. And to me, this pen is the only thing that worries me. We know Hader's starting on the IR. And we heard today that Ben Sousa is starting the year on IR. So you're starting a little bit undermanned. But this, I think, if we can say one good thing about Dana Brown, he has brought in, if you want to combine the bullpen, the rotation, I would say conservatively 15 major league quality pitchers. I would say that's conservative. It might be 17 or 18. And obviously you can only fit in 13. So you're going to have 4 or 5 guys going down to AAA and just chomping at the bit to get back.
No, and we forgot about George Costanza. I think he's probably one of those 6
Yeah.
that makes the starting rotation. Gordon got sent down. And he's one of those guys that you mentioned that's chomping at the bit to get back up. I think he's probably number 7 of those guys that, hey, let's keep him stretched out. We, at some point, might need another starter. We might need another arm. This is a guy who can bounce up, give us some quality major league innings, bounce back down. I am intrigued. I was intrigued with the idea of him out of the bullpen as just a funky lefty, but that's not the way they're going, and I get it. But I think this also, the way this bullpen is breaking out like now, Scott, might be optimal for a guy like Bluebaugh,
Yeah.
for a young kid to maybe early on in the season get your beak wet and some high leverage opportunities that by the time the season rolls on, he might be your 7th inning guy. He might be the Phil Maton guy that you call out of a bullpen anytime you're in trouble, the fireman to put out the fire. We don't know, but this is a great opportunity for him to get in there and to test his stuff against big league guys coming out of the pen. He made starts last year for the most part for the Astros, but if you and I both agree this is a guy who could be a big leverage late inning reliever, the way the bullpen's breaking out with no Sousa, with no Hader to start the year, he could get some 7th or 8th innings and an opportunity to settle into that role.
One of the things I wish they would do with him, though, and unfortunately I don't think they can with what this injury situations you mentioned. Do you remember what the Astros did with Lidge like circa 2006? Before they traded him to the Phillies?
I mean, they moved him to like the 7th or 8th inning, didn't they?
They moved him they started off like 5th or 6th inning and kind of slowly built up confidence. But that's what I would do with a blue ball. Go really low leverage, let him kick some ass, get some confidence, and just slowly kind of elevate him to that role. Unfortunately, with all the injuries, they may not be able to do that. But, do they go with Tang in the bullpen? Maybe. Maybe that's a move that they do. Did they go with Weiss in the bullpen? Maybe that's a move you do. They've got a lot of options. I mean, Lambert looks to me like a potential. He looks to me like this year's Caleb Ward,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, who the hell's this guy? Well, guy's humming it in there 97, 98. Shit, where's this guy been? Almost like the reverse Serrano from spring training, where it's like, this guy hits a ton. Why has nobody else picked up on this guy?
We
He'd
just
be
did that
like,
breaking stuff.
man, this guy throws it in there. Man, this guy hums it in there. Why isn't anybody else pitching it? Okay, Lambert, that's enough fastballs. Let's see your breaking balls. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have something to get people off your shit. That's definitely a problem. Um, we'll see. I think there's some good pieces in there, Scott. It's so tough to judge what a pen is going to be in spring training. You know who Hader and Abreu are. You don't really have to stress, I think, too much about those guys. I don't love you and I have talked about this. I don't love Abreu as a closer. I think mentally he just doesn't react the same when he gets out there. He's so much better in the eighth inning statistically than he is in the ninth, and he's even better in the seventh than he is in the eighth. Um, Take what you want out of that. But I do think, Hader and Abreu, those guys are locks to be who they are. I do think we'll get back to that Abreu of old. I think Espada maybe needs to be a little smarter how he uses Hader this year.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
we'll see if he learns a fucking lesson or not. I don't know. But I'm not saying you can't use him from more than 3 outs, but there's too many times where he's getting 3 outs, sitting, and then coming back out for more. I hate that. If you bring him into the eighth and then bring him back out for the 3 in the ninth, that's different. But to get 3 outs in the ninth, sit, and then come back out in the 10th, he did that way too many times to me.
Oh, yeah. To me, you don't bring him into a tie game. If you're going to do a more than a 3-out save, it needs to be a 4 or 5-out save. It doesn't need to be, I'm going to, bring him into the ninth and bring him into the 10th because, my offense sucks and we can't score in the bottom half of the ninth.
Yeah.
And that segues me into my biggest worry with this team. Are they going to hit enough? And I like what I've seen from the younger outfielders. Early on, we were talking about how bad they were looking. Since then, Cam Smith's kind of turned things around. Lo Profito's turned things around. Cole's hit a couple of dingers. So, on that front, but Yiner's, he's not even on the interstate. Walker is on the interstate. But everybody talking about how great he is, how great he's been looking.
Hey, a lot of hard hit outs, Scott. Chill out, okay? A lot of hard hit outs. Exit velos up.
So Jordan's looked better of late. So, that's something. I haven't seen a lot of Jake Myers this spring. So I don't know what's going on with him.
If you ask Brian McTaggart, he'd probably tell you they're getting work on the backfield. Apparently,
yeah.
is the fucking answer to ever. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean they're not working on the backfield. Thanks, Brian. Thank you so much for that fucking insight.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, hitting off the tee, the really challenging stuff, that you really want in mid-March. That's what you can.
Tee work.
We did hear Jeremy Pena might swing a bat this weekend. So they haven't made a determination yet. Do you think he starts opening day?
I don't think so. I think they're going to be probably overly cautious with this, and I just don't love the idea of Correa playing short to start the year. I feel like
you got Nick Allen.
I don't want Nick Allen. I've told you that. I am of the belief, Scott, that there's no value in keeping a Nick Allen on this roster. Like, I would rather keep Bryce Matthews than Nick Allen. To me, there's no point in that guy being here. Bryce Matthews can play the positions that Nick Allen can play, and at the end of the day, is a much better offensive threat. So if we're going to start the year with Pena out, I'm kind of the let's see what Bryce Matthews can do to start the year at shortstop. Keep Pena, I mean, keep Correa at third base. Correa's talked about how fresh he feels playing third base. He's put a little extra muscle on. I want to see that. I don't want to see going right back to shortstop immediately. And now Paredes plays third, and we just no, like you guys need to have a legitimate plan for Paredes that doesn't involve someone's hurt, we put him there.
But Tim, Nick Allen has a 586 OPS this spring.
That's bad, Scott.
Is it? I thought. Uh,
You sound like the Chinese baseball contingency when they asked us to put OPS up because those were more like the Americans' batting averages.
so, man, look at that slugging percentage. No, that's not slugging percentage. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think Matthews and Matthews is a shortstop by trade. So I would think defensively, I don't know if you want a full season of Bryce Matthews at short, but for 5 or 10 games, and then do you now here's the other question, Tim. Do you put Pena on IR or do you just not play him in that first or second series and kind of,
I
get
mean,
through?
there's a 7-day injured list, so I'd probably put him on the 7. I mean, it just depends. I think the media might have overplayed the injury a little bit. From what it sounds, it was more just a tip of the finger thing. Um, if he can play, let's play. But I just feel like after last year with what happened with Jordan, you change the medical staff, how we're gonna do things. You got a new protocol, all this other stuff. Um, I can't help but feel like they're gonna be a little bit more cautious this year.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. And of course, we have the ultimate, we're playing the Angels to open up the season. And, um, how many years in a row has Mike Trout missed most of the season with injury?
How many years has Mike Trout been in the league?
Well, no, he was like for the first like 7 or 8 years, he was like
No, you're
maybe
right.
maybe through 2018 or 19. Like I would say post pandemic, he's been, you know, the injured Mike Trout. What was
Yeah, it. I'm not even gonna go there. Um, no, it's definitely been a struggle for him. Tough to watch, but I'm happy to open against the Angels. Who doesn't love playing the Angels?
Jose Soriano is your opening day starter. I mean, who doesn't, who isn't scared to face Jose Soriano?
I mean, hey, we'll take it.
We're at Janet and I
Hunter
have,
Brown.
we got tickets for game 2. So I want
Yeah,
to. I'm very interested to see who's getting the ball second, whether it's Burrows or Amai.
yeah. They still haven't put anything out yet, Scott. Amai's pitching.
I think he's pitching.
Amai's pitching the first of the scrimmages against Sugarland.
That probably
I
means
don't know how that lines up.
he's not pitching game 2 because that would be
Maybe
Friday.
that's Burrows.
Friday would be game 2, so I don't think. So I guess Burrows is your number 2 starter.
Yeah, and I wonder if that means like CJ's 3.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess. Well, so when the first exhibition game is what going to be Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So if he pitches Monday, he could conceivably pitch Saturday.
I mean, I think he should be a top 3 starter. I don't know how the Astros still view Christian Javier, right? You've got money committed to him.
Steve
Where do you
Smart.
view him in your pecking order? I think he should be 6th, 5th or 6th. Him and Lance should go in the street with kitchen forks and fight it out for the 5th spot.
Steve Smart seems to think that he liked the life that he had on his fastball. And I guess if and I haven't watched him pitch. I've seen what the velocity is, but with him, velocity was never really the deal. It was all the late movement. I don't know that he's got the late movement or not, or I don't know if they're just blowing. You know, pissing down our neck and saying it's raining. Yeah, I don't know.
So you probably remember this live much better than I do, but I watched a podcast video about it today. Jim Palmer in 1991 tried to make a major league comeback, right? He, starts throwing in Miami, starts working out with the University of Miami players. Feels like he's got some snap there, right? He's like something's clicking. So he decides to, throws for major league teams, comes back and does an inter squad game, gets some outs. People are questioning it. He goes against the Red Sox for like what's supposed to be a 4 inning start or 3 inning start. He only goes 2. He only gives up 1 run, but like every ball is hit like 100 miles an hour right at somebody. And then he decides he comes out and he says like he popped his hamstring and that's why he wasn't throwing hard and the comeback's over. That's kind of what it feels like to me with Christian Javier, right? Like he gets into jams, he gets out of it. Balls were hit hard, but they're always right at somebody. And okay, I went 5 innings and gave up 2 runs, but like we needed you to go 6 or 7. You threw a shit ton of pitches. You walked 5 guys, and of your 15 outs that you got, 13 of them were hit at 98 miles an hour, and they were just happened to be in the ballpark, right? Like that's what I feel like when I watch Javier.
You know what? If I got an idea for CJ and Lance. Did they mention Jim Palmer's underwear modeling during that
They
podcast?
did. They did. Yeah.
So, maybe one of them could make it as the Haynes guy.
Look who we've got our Hanes on now. It's Lance McCullers Jr.
Boy, he looks good.
There's nothing like sitting home watching your team play in your Hanes.
There's nothing being like being 35 years old and your major league career is done, but you're sitting at home counting your Miller.
You get Blanco. Get Blanco. Is your team starting without you? There's nothing like sitting home watching their games with Orbit and your Hanes.
No, just have him have Lance, counting his 17 million, 17.5 million. With my 17.5 million, I sit on the sofa, I eat my HEB, and I watch baseball in my Hanes.
I can buy any underwear I want with this money, and I'm still buying Hanes. All right, Scott, let's talk some Texans because they made some moves in free agency. It opened with a little bit of a bang with Blankenship. You're like, okay, doubling down on defense. Then they get a tackle who can play some guard, who played for the Colts. Then they get, another guard from the Cardinals, and then boom, the big move. Wyatt Teller, come on down. The left guard of the future is here. Then Scott, all of a sudden, we might have a little bit of an offensive line here at Houston. Wyatt Teller wrestles fucking Gators, bro. I think he can handle some offensive line duties.
Well, I want to tap the brakes a little bit here, Tim. Like the last couple of years, his scores, according to ESPN and PFF, have not been great.
Can I counter one thing on that? His best scores came at left guard.
Well,
he was then moved to right guard in Cleveland and had to learn a new position. So I will say,
granted,
that's a big part of it.
Well, but what I would say to that, and this is basically what I said in my article about it, is let's say he's league average at left guard, right? Would you say that that's a fair, like a minimum bar?
I think he's better. I think he's better than that.
Well, right,
league average would be huge.
That's like manna from heaven for this team.
Yeah, let's go.
It's like you feel like, oh my God, we got average. And I think, what they've said now is Evan Brown is the guy that we got from the Cardinals. He's played extensively at center in addition to guard. So he could compete for the starting center role. He was the starting center in Detroit, for a couple of years. 64 starts in the NFL level. So even if you sit there and say he is your Juice Scruggs replacement, Would you rather have a guy that started 64 games on the offensive line than Juice Scruggs?
No, I think he's legitimate, backup guard at either position. Backups, I think, you got swing tackles. He's your swing interior offensive lineman or a guy who can compete to play center. I love that signing. When you look at where this line was 2 years ago, coming off of, coming into a new era, new offensive coordinator, you ship out Laramie Tunsil, and everybody's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And they say, "We're going to get better somehow." You scatter shot your approach. That somehow ends you up with Ingram and Brown, right? The only two guys that you're going to keep. You make another decision to get Titus Howard out of town, replace that with Wyatt Teller. You've got a legitimate tackle. You've got two good guards. I don't know, Scott. I mean, I feel like we've kind of got to give Casario his flowers here a little bit because you can now go into the draft and get a defensive end to help that rotation out a little bit, which is fucking scary to say.
Well, and I think what you've done, and I want to point this out, and the PFF boys, they break this down. They break down, run blocking versus pass blocking. And one thing that Teller is a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. And Brown last year, when he played right tackle, was a better run blocker than a pass blocker. Ingram was a better run blocker than a pass blocker. So now all of a sudden you're looking at your offensive line, and 3 out of the 5 guys were better on run blocking. And this team last year was dead ass last in win rate on run blocks. So you've now changed out. You've got Braden Smith. Now the guy I think needs to be shitting bricks right now is Blake Fisher, because you've got 3 tackles already. You haven't had a draft yet. They could very well draft a tackle and say, like, we have this guy that could be a tackle, or we can move him inside. And then if you're Blake Fisher, what's your role? Because you also have Jared Patterson. Jared Patterson's another guy that has been like Evan Brown, who's kind of a similar, when you talk about how he scores, similar to Evan Brown. So you've got 4 guys on the I'm doing the math wrong. You got 5 guys on the interior. You've got 3 guys on the exterior, and then you got Blake Fisher. And to me, what I don't want is I don't want a Juice Scruggs situation. I don't want a guy on your football team who's like, well, whatever you do, don't put him in there. I mean, I want everybody who suits up on Sunday to feel at least reasonably comfortable if they have to go into the game.
I mean, to me, Blake Fisher's already on the block, right? Like he was not a guy you felt comfortable putting in at right tackle. He was your sixth lineman when you had to go to that situation, which was fine. But that's only because the other 5 and a tight end couldn't fucking get the job done. So you had to bring in Blake Fisher to play tight end slash right tackle. But at the end of the day, you signed a tackle and brought back Brown. One of those 2 guys are going to start, and I don't think it's going to be Brown. I think Brown's going to be the guy coming off the bench as your swing tackle.
Which is fine.
Which
is fine.
And I think the other tackle that they signed from the Colts,
Braden Smith.
I think he's a better tackle all around when you look at the numbers of him playing right tackle. I think he's a better fit there. Personally, we'll see. I think he had some health issues, and the way the Colts rushed him back, it led to some PTSD things that, hey, maybe it'll be a better fit here in Houston. But Brown's a great backup plan if it doesn't work, right? Like he looked pretty good last year. So I just feel really good about the offensive line, and I feel really good about where this team is going into the draft. There's not a lot of huge holes, right? No. I would say you'd like another defensive end. The way that the Texans rotated players last year, Barnett had 350 snaps, Scott. That's a lot. That's a lot to give those guys breaks. So what if you could go get a young, hungry guy?
They signed a couple of guys, though, that were, I think, a Denico Autry type. There was one guy
but Autry played inside more to me. You moved Autry to tackle.
Well, yeah, there's a guy that was a 3-4 defensive end. So, I mean, that's a guy that could play inside or outside. I would love a defensive tackle in the draft, Because right now you got Sheldon Rankins, you got Tommy Togiai, and who?
You're not wrong. I mean, I need another pass rusher. If it's a tackle, it's a tackle. I feel like you need another guy who can get after the quarterback, just because we do like to rotate Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter in and out, and it can't always be those guys applying pressure. Barnett had some nice moments last
Oh
season.
yeah, yeah,
Sheldon Rankins had some nice moments up the middle, but you look back, the thing that's got me thinking pass rusher, especially the year 2014, Texans had the number one overall pick. We go Jadeveon Clowney. Do you know who they could have had and could have paired next to JD Watt? I mean JJ Watt,
I'm trying to remember. Was that the year was oh god, the one with the Rams?
Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Aaron
Can
Donald.
you imagine, Scott? Aaron Donald next to JJ fucking Watt in this off and this it would have been insane, right? So if you can go get a big pass rushing tackle, go for it. But in general, I think you need another rotational pass rusher to play the style that D'Amico wants to play, which is just relentless pass rush with four guys. They don't want to bring heat. They want those front four to be able to get after the quarterback so they can wreak havoc on the back end. And able to do that, you've got to rotate guys in and out, and you got to keep them fresh. And I still feel like we're a player, maybe even two away on that pass rush rotationally from where we were last year.
Yeah.
Barnett was 350 snaps isn't nothing.
No, it's not. They did sign a couple of guys. They got a guy from the Bears. They got and then a guy from the Panthers. So I mean they didn't get and they re-signed Naquan Jones. That's another. He's kind of a ho-hum. Uh, I would love a center. I would love a kick-ass center because when I look at the offensive line, really honestly, center is below average. Anybody you put there. Um, And when you look at what can derail this unit, you mentioned Braden Smith was hurt. Trent Brown missed most of the season last year, hurt. I think Tiller was also hurt for part of the season. So I think if you can come out of the draft with a couple of linemen, I still wouldn't hate it. Because I mean you're kind of giving yourself some protection in case something bad, and that means that you might be turning guys, like you might be telling somebody like a Jarrett Patterson, thanks for the memories. You might be telling Blake Fisher, thanks for being an extra tight end, thanks for the memories. But I think you have to have probably at least to start off with maybe 10 guys that you like. And you might have to cut one or put one on the practice squad or something. But I think that's where this team would be better. Is there were so many moments because I mean, look at what this team started with at left guard, Tim. Lincoln Tomlinson. Then we go to Juice Scruggs. Then we throw some Jarrett Patterson in there. Then we sit there and go like, Titus, they need you to move over, bud. It's just, to me, it's insane, but it's insane that you had these guys. You're like, okay, your Juice, go in there, I guess. I mean, you had those kinds of moments.
It is silly that we got to that point. But I almost wonder if it was like Miko, like trying to make a point, right? Like this is who Nick. I told Nick, hey, we got to upgrade the offensive line, Nick, and he brings in all these different guys, right? Like instead of going and getting two really good players with that money, he brought in 12. I'm gonna run them out there, and I'm gonna show Nick Caserio that they fucking suck one at a time. All right, Lincoln, you're up first, buddy. Thank you. Okay, Juice, get up there, baby. Oh, it didn't work out. Patterson, your turn. Oh, it didn't work out. I guess we have like Nick. What I try to tell you is Titus Howard's a left guard. I'm gonna have to move him. We tried all these other options. I gotta move him to left guard, Nick. I'm so sorry. I know you didn't want me to do that, but I'm gonna have to do it anyway. Like to me, that's kind of it's like the opposite of our So we have the theory that Dana Brown and Joe Spada don't talk baseball, right? Like they sit there and they talk Netflix and they talk tennis and they talk, yard of the month stuff, HOA bylaws. That's what Dana Brown and Joe Spada. But on the other hand, when D'Amico and Nick Cassero gets together, they can't get off it, right? Like their wives plan a double date for them to just stop talking about work, okay? Just stop. We're gonna have a nice night out. The Casarios and the Ryans, with a nice table of 4 in the back, private room, and they're just sitting there banging on the table. No, he can't fucking play the position. He can't do it. And the wives are just like, please, it was supposed to be our night out, and we're not talking about work tonight.
But could you imagine, Tim? I would much rather have that as a wife than having, is that the correct color beige on that house down the street? I think that's
Okay, let me put a picture in your head. Okay, let me put a picture in your head. Joe Espada and Dana Brown have matching Adidas tracksuits. Okay, they
Oh,
start they start their mornings power walking through their River Oaks neighborhood with a clip book. Right, at any house that they see, Dana takes the picture. Joe writes up the ticket. They fucking tape that thing and then just keep powering on. And then they get home and his wife's like, Joe, how was your walk this morning? 16 violations, babe. When will this neighborhood learn? They'll never learn. That's why we're here. Dana and I keeping it together.
oh man. All right. So we do have another team in town, Tim.
We
Do we?
do. And this segment, Scott, I think this is the most appropriately named segment we've done in this show. It's simply titled "Fuck KD." Okay, fuck Kevin Durant. Back-to-back games against the Lakers, and this dude shits the fucking life out of the game. Cannot handle a double team. They blitz double teams. Everybody's blitzing KD with a double team, and you know what he says in the post game? Maybe I should go stand in the corner or something. Really, bro? Really? You're a max fucking player in year 18 of the NBA and you still don't know how to fucking handle a double team? What the fuck? He killed us twice.
Yeah, I don't get it. To me, and imagine if the Lakers the worst defensive team in the NBA? They got to
No.
be pretty damn close. I mean, you're pretty much on offense. You're playing 5-on-4 because Luka's basically worthless defensively, and so you can't figure out how to beat a double team. Are we to understand that Durant's never been doubled in his entire career?
I mean,
Man,
he's been doubled his whole career, and the only place that he could handle it was Golden State. You doubled him in Oklahoma City, it was a problem because Westbrook would just fucking brick up threes. You double him in Brooklyn, it was a problem because no one else was healthy enough to help him. You doubled him in Phoenix, it was a problem. I mean, the only place where doubling him didn't lead to bad things for the team was Golden State because there were so many other shooters on the court. And that's part of it's on Ime because he continues to let KD be the point forward and put the ball in his hand and let them fucking blitz him with double teams instead of, I don't know, letting Reed Shepard play the point and putting Kevin Durant in a different position, maybe pick and roll with KD, maybe have him run and baseline, maybe do some different things in the post with Kevin Durant instead of just letting him get blitzed with double teams at the top of the floor to the point where he backs up and then gets a backcourt violation and then goes, oh, I didn't realize I was so close to the line. Ew. Like, what the fuck, man? Turnover after turnover after turnover.
you're jumping on, another candidate that I'm going to be talking about later on in the show. But what I would say is, independent of coaching, shouldn't you Durant sit there and say like, I want Bari shooting. Okay, Bari, go to the free throw line. Whenever they double me, you go to the free throw line. And instead of like, oh, I don't know who's going to go there. I don't know. Somebody take charge and sit there and say like, you go there. I mean, you don't want Amen going, taking a shot.
How about we have Amen bring the ball up the court? You want to try
Eason,
and double Amen? Okay, he'll
Bart,
either blow by you or fucking get out of it with a good pass. We don't know how to handle a trap. That's basic fucking high school basketball.
Bari was playing pretty good. Tari was absolutely more worthless than tits on a boar hog, and we're still playing him heavy minutes.
He
So
played more minutes than Reed last night.
I don't. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I don't get. But see, here's okay. So a longer conversation, Tim. So I'm just going to ask a very basic question. Is Ime the coach that's going to lead this team to a title?
I truly don't think so. I'm beginning to think no. To me, again, I've mentioned this again. He's Jeff Fisher, right? Jeff Fisher came in when the Rams drafted what's the fucking kid from Cal who's in Detroit now?
Jared Goff?
Jared Goff, right? And you needed a Jeff Fisher to establish some culture from a last place football team and get them to relevance, build out the roster, make them an 8-8 football team. Because that's what Jeff Fisher is. Jeff Fisher is an 8-8 coach. But then you get Sean McVay. Then you get the innovator in there who can actually do some things, right? And take you to that next level. I think the same could be said for Mark Jackson, right? Mark Jackson took a young group of really good NBA talent and had them okay. They were fifth and sixth seeds, but they couldn't really do anything. Then you get Steve Kerr, whose system is perfect for those guys, an innovator, and he's able to take them to that next level. The Rockets, to me, have collected the talent. They've got great pieces in place. This team has no offensive identity. They at times remind me of what drives me crazy about the Houston Cougars is they have no offensive identity, and sometimes their offense is jack it up and hope for the offensive rebound and go back up strong because they're so good on the offensive glass. That's what the Rockets seems like they were built with. Like, hey, if all us wasn't there, just throw it up, and Steven Adams is down there to clean that shit up. Well, now Steven Adams isn't down there, and they have no offensive identity, and it's a lot of Kevin Durant just having to do everything, either score or create offensively and get guys looks off of his just aura. If you're going to double me, Kevin Durant has to kick it. But he's not a good enough facilitator to do that, right? I think Kevin Durant's a guy that's going to be compared to LeBron for his whole career and has been. Just the time they came in, the age they came in. You could tell me LeBron James would ever let you blitz double teams at him like that and let it cost him a game? You want to talk about basketball IQ? You want to talk about leadership? You want to talk about winning mentality? LeBron would make the best pass possible every single time, right? Like, there's no doubt in my mind that if you brought that strategy at LeBron James, he would fucking burn you every single time. And so the fact that you can just blitz one of the greatest scorers of all times with double teams and it just shuts down the offense is fucking insane to me.
Well, I think when you compare them, there's two things that and I did mention this to you. Ime is signed to 2030-31. I don't know if that changes your calculus at all, but
It's not my money. I don't give a fuck.
But I think it's a lot like Harden, right? When was Harden at his best?
With D'Antoni, it was like an 18, 19 where he had that stretch of 30-point games.
So D'Antoni had an offensive system. Now, we could sit there and say it's an outdated offensive system, but it was an offensive system. And it's an offensive system that's worked in multiple locations and worked with multiple players. I think every other system that James was in, particularly when Kevin McHale was here, well, just give James the ball and we'll figure it out. That seemed to be the system. Dribble it for 20 seconds, maybe penetrate, maybe you get fouled, maybe you dish it.
I mean, I think it was even worse. Like, at one point they tried to make the system, we're going to be a team that posts Dwight Howard and runs plays to get Dwight Howard looks in the paint.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that you offensively, I mean, it's a lot like the Bill O'Brien system of offense. I'm going to try to run the football ineffectively for 2.5 quarters, and then I'm going to have my quarterback play hero ball for the last quarter and a half. I mean, basically, you're asking Durant to play hero ball, which maybe when Durant was 27, maybe he could play hero ball. He's not 27 years old anymore, and I don't know. So if I gave it, let me give you 3 options. Number 1, fire Ime and go look for your innovator. Number 2, force him to hire basically an offensive coordinator and give him another year, or keep the coaching staff intact and reshape the roster to be radically different?
Um, I'm firing Ime, number one, reshaping the roster, number two, and bringing in a coordinator, number three.
Well, I mean, but then if you fire Ime, then it doesn't really matter because, presumably you're going to bring in a guy that's bringing in his own system, right?
It's probably going to be a little bit of reshaping the roster too, right? If you're going to bring in a
Yeah.
guy, he's
I-
probably got connections somewhere and say, "Hey, can you move this guy and get me a better, better shooter, better rebounder, better whatever." I think Amen needs to be moved. I
I
think
think
at the end of the day, it's Amen.
I think, and I'm not mentioning this guy at any point later on, but we do have to also talk about Rafael Stone. I mean,
Yeah.
your decision to hire, to bring in Dorian Finney-Mixon it was a huge misstep as it's turned out. And we thought he was going to be better. We thought he was going to be a Dylan Brooks kind of player. That hasn't turned out to be the case. And could you have signed a veteran point guard with that exception money? And where would you be with a veteran point guard? Because you and I have been banging the point guard table for 3 years now. I mean, we've been saying even when Van Vliet was healthy that this team needed a good backup point guard. So to me, why this whole and this whole, well, we traded for Durant when we thought we had Fred, and when we don't have Fred, well, shit, things don't work out. No, why are you bringing in, well, we're going to have a roster of 7-3 and D guys, and we're just going to see maybe it'll work out. I don't know. Who knows? Man, you
No,
had that
yeah.
money. And to me, we questioned the Capella signing at the time. And that one, I'm still kind of 50-50 on. I can see what the idea was because, Steven Adams has been injury prone, but they haven't played Capella that much. So to me, you spend a lot of money not to get a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, if Capella was being utilized differently right now, it would make a lot more sense. But especially considering you haven't had a lot of Alpi, he's been banged up, and yet they still run small lineups constantly. They play Jabari at the five all the time. I don't know, Scott. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. But let's give some awards out. It's getting late, and
Absolutely.
it's time to punch some people in the face. Scott, who gets the pow right in the kisser for you this week?
I am not gonna actually do this. But I have to give it to my dog, Puck. So I kind of got this on. So I was walking him to the mailbox yesterday, and he's normally a pretty good dog, but the one thing that happens is that he does not like other dogs, and he does not like cars. And he has a knack for doing this. When I'm picking up his poop, or when I was getting the mail, he saw a dog behind me, and he just yanks. And let me tell you, Tim, when he wants to go somewhere and you've got him, you got to pretty much go where he wants to go. And usually I can adjust, because I can see what he's doing, but in this case I couldn't. So he drags me, and we have those community. Do y'all have the community mailboxes?
We do, unfortunately.
So it's we got that. It's right there on a curb. And so, like, I step off the curb and I am down, Tim, and I just landed completely on my right side. Mail flew everywhere, my keys like about 10 feet away. And I bruised up my wrist because, I ended up using that to break my fall, sort of. But now, today is probably just a part of getting old. Every time I sneeze, it hurts. Every time I cough, it hurts. If I laugh, it hurts. And and I walked him again today, and he was great. A couple of kids wanted to pet him in the park, like we're talking like 2, 3, 4 year olds. And he was actually pretty good with the kids. So, I mean, he likes kids. He just doesn't like other dogs. I think he's the alpha male type, doesn't like cars.
Hey, you live and you learn. I'm glad you're okay. I told you the sad story of uh, a parent on Sawyer's soccer's team who passed away when their dog bolted like that on a family walk, nonetheless. So glad you're okay. Relatively speaking, maybe get those ribs checked out might be the only
Yeah.
thing there. I want to punch the entirety of the World Baseball Classics Team USA in the face. Like if it could be a scenario where they could all stand in a circle and I can just windmill all the way around. It's just a litany of it's one thing after another, right? Like number one, Mark DeRosa, you're a fucking dumbass. You brought in a member of SEAL Team 6 who killed Osama bin Laden to speak to the baseball clubhouse for what? Not sure. Not sure what sneaking into a cave and murdering a terrorist has to do with winning a baseball game, but apparently that's what that team fucking needed in the
Had,
moment.
had to be better than Aaron Judge's speech.
Had to be better than that. Also, that particular member of SEAL Team 6 has been outed as a liar. That like the rest of the team is like he didn't do any of that, and also is like a noted bigot, and amongst other things, right? Like crazy human being. But that's who we invite into the clubhouse, and I just feel like this whole thing was so politicized, so we're at war. We got to fucking buckle down. Team USA, right? It was just too much. It was too much. Like it got to the point I mentioned. I was rooting for Venezuela. I was rooting for Jose Altuve's team to get the win because they ruined it for me. They absolutely ruined it. The inviting of the SEAL Team 6 member was the last straw for me because it just, if you would have told me like we're going to invite a member of, this Olympic team when they still used to do the Olympics as baseball, and he's going to come in and if you told me we're going to get Joe Torre in here, famous manager of the Yankees, if you like any of that would have made more sense than here's a guy who claims to have shot Osama bin Laden in the face, but he didn't actually do it. Have the room, my guy.
The only thing that would have been funnier, Tim, is if he had somehow Rudy Giuliani did and got a guy from
Get the wrong guy.
got a guy from Meal Team 6. This guy comes in, he weighs like 350 pounds. Like, I go to Golden Corral 6 times a week. Man, I tell you what, that all you can eat, it's clutch.
You thought you ordered the Delta Force and Larry the Cable Guy comes up and it's like that fake Delta Farce movie. It's just like, oh no.
Get her done.
What do we do? Oh man. But no, it's just like everything about Mark DeRosa. And the thing that tipped it, like the piece de resistance, Scott, is Mark DeRosa going, I would love to manage this team again next time around. Like, are you fucking kidding me, Mark?
That's not happening.
I think we've had enough of you, bro.
That's not happening. All right, Tim, I'm with you there. If we go moving on to horse's ass, I'm nominating National NFL Media. So ESPN did their post free agency. Well, I love this post free agency. Free agency is still going on, but post free agency rankings. Do you want to know where your Houston Texans were ranked?
Like 15th.
You're close. 17th.
That's rough.
Now, I want somebody to explain this to me like I'm a 6-year-old. Where has this team been the last 3 years, Tim?
Divisional round of the playoffs.
That means they were one of the top 8 teams in the NFL, correct?
It does. It does. Consistently.
So if you're going to say that we rank 17th after free agency, what you're telling me is one of two things. You're telling me either the Texans lost a shit ton of players, and I don't remember them losing. I mean, yeah, they traded away, Titus Howard, but I don't remember them
Christian
losing.
Kirk walked out the door, Scott.
Oh man, that's rough. Or you're telling me 9 other teams made moves so dramatic that they leapfrogged them. And the thing is, in the same article, they're sitting there talking about how positive these moves are. Well, if the moves are so positive, shouldn't they at least be maintaining divisional round? Wouldn't that make sense?
I don't have time for your sense. Okay,
Mm.
I have a deadline, and this team spent more money, therefore they now have the best roster, right? Like that's what it is. This team spent $90 million in free agency and brought in 25 players. Um, you're now the best team. That's all it is. I think the Texans were already good quarterback play away from going to the Super Bowl last year. If you just improve the things that you can and hope the quarterback play increases, you can't tell me we're not a top 8 team. Not
Yeah,
with that defense.
yeah, and the defense you could say got better.
You could. You very well could with Blankenship back there playing more of his natural role. I think he was asked to do some different things last year when they got rid of CJ Gardner Johnson in Philadelphia. Um, and I don't think that was his fit as much. I think with Kalen Bullock back there as more of the pure center field safety, I think he's going to get to do some more in the box kind of stuff that Petrie does. I think they'll use him differently, and I think it'll be a good fit.
All right, Tim, who you got?
Well, I'm going to take this back to the original intent of the award, right? Which was like, we want you out of town. And I think at this point, that's where I'm at with Kevin Durant. I'm over it. You mentioned we're 8-7 since all that bullshit came out with his burner account and all the other stuff. He's done nothing to address it. He's done nothing to make it better. In fact, his post-game interviews to me look like a guy who's quit on his team. His performance against the Lakers in both those games are indicative of a guy who's quit on his basketball team. This does not look like a guy who has any desire to take a young roster and like try and make them better. If you remember when LeBron went back to Cleveland after Miami, he forced a couple of trades, yeah, to like get some of his guys there, but he still had a really young core and he elevated those guys to a whole nother level. Mike, Matthew Dellavedova got motherfucking paid because LeBron helped elevate that guy's game. Kyrie Irving became a household name playing next to LeBron James in Cleveland. Tristan Thomas got fucking paid. Timofey Mozgov got fucking paid playing next. Like, he took guys and brought him to that next level. KD doesn't do that, man. He's a black fucking hole who sucks the energy out of the basketball court. And I got to be honest, I find myself not wanting to watch Rockets basketball right now, even though they are a competitive team. They are a playoff team. They're a 4th or 5th seed, probably. KD's not fun to watch. This is not fun basketball. And I think a lot of it starts with Kevin fucking Durant. He is a locker room cancer. He is a problem. You can go pull my tape from when we made the trade and tell me how excited I was. Hey, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. Kevin Durant is not a good teammate. Kevin Durant is not a fun person to be a fan of. Kevin Durant is not fun offensively. He is boring. And he is killing the Houston Rockets right now.
Well, and what I think is happening is I think this is James Harden 2.0. Because you remember James was never happy with his supporting cast. And so he didn't like Dwight Howard. So we got to get rid of Dwight Howard. We got to let's bring in Chris Paul. I don't like Chris Paul. Let's bring in Russell Westbrook. No, I don't like that. And then before that, he was basically, I'm going to quit on Kevin McHale because I want a different coach. I think what you're seeing with Durant is I don't think he's not quitting on the organization. He's quitting on his coach and his teammates. What he's hoping for is, I think he's going to do that thing like we were talking about with D'Amico earlier. I can't do it with this crap. You got to get me, you got to get me, come on, you got to get me, so he's going to push this team. And then that's going to be Rafael Stone's nut crunching job, because if you could say anything bad about Daryl Morey gave in to James Harden repeatedly. And, and it worked for a while. I think we were better with Chris Paul than we were Dwight Howard. But getting rid of Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook did not make this better. And So you can play that game for only so long before it kills your organization, it kills your team. So this is nut crunching time for Rafael Stone. I think Durant's going to come to him. He's already signed 2-year extension. He's going to sit there and say, "Hey, I'm in for the next 2 years, but you got to get me something. Are you going to bend over and you're going to get him something?"
And I think you do, but I think it's got to be the right something. We've talked about, could you trade Amen Thompson plus whatever for a Giannis? You keep Alpi Sengun, you get that pairing down low. Maybe that's I think you have to trade Amen now. I don't think he's ever going to develop a jump shot. And I think the best he could ever be is a Russell Westbrook type player that you give 6 feet of space to outside the 3-point line, because there's zero fear that he will burn you. Like, he's already being treated like that. And you can say what you want about, I'm not saying you, but we can give KD the credit that his cast isn't good enough. I mean, Tom Brady won Super Bowls with fucking Jabbar Gaffney catching passes. LeBron took a team with Mo Williams as his number 2 scoring option next to him and went to the finals against the San Antonio Spurs. If you've got the heart and the grit of a champion, you find a way to elevate those around you. When we talk about guys who have never made roster demands, I think Le GM came out in LA a bit where he did demand more moves and things like that. But have you ever heard Stephen Curry say, "I need more around me. Hey, go trade and get me this guy"? Or Steph go out and just play with the people that are there? Clay Thompson leaves, people get hurt, Andrew Bogut left, Andre Iguodala's gone, Livingston's gone. As long as Steph is there, they've still found a way to be a really good basketball team with whoever is left. And that's a guy who's never said, "My cast isn't good enough." He's blamed himself at times. "I could have been better." He's never said, "My cast isn't good enough." So to me, when I look at stars, I look at guys who make other people better. And at the end of the day, I think the argument is he doesn't make anyone else on that court better.
And and I'm still on record as saying I thought it was a good trade at the time. I just think that you needed to be all in with Kevin Durant. You couldn't expect Kevin Durant to elevate the rest of the roster. You had to surround him with the right pieces, and that's where Rafael Stone failed.
That's fair. I mean, and that's fair. If you went into it with that mindset of Kevin Durant's not going to make us better, we have to change the roster, and we didn't. That's fine. But I still think if you're a player of that level, you have to find a way to elevate those around you, and he doesn't do that, and that's what pisses me off.
All right, Tim, ready for some positive vibes?
Yep, I'm gonna have 2 hat tips, Scott. So I'll start. You go ahead, and then I'll finish this off at the end. I want to do a little sandwich technique.
All right, you go ahead.
My first one, I want to hat tip the Astros bench coach Lopez for the job that he did with Team Venezuela. When you look up and down that roster, like, yes, there are good major league players there, but you don't have Miguel Cabrera anymore. You don't have Jose Altuve on that roster. The pitching wasn't quite as deep as Team USA's pitching was. You had, Eugenio Suarez is the guy getting the big hit. No offense to Eugenio Suarez, but I think if you asked every MLB GM, would you rather have Suarez or Bregman, they're taking Bregman. The stars were all over Team USA. The stars were all over Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Team Japan. But it's Venezuela that comes away victorious. And I think that the job that man did is remarkable. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable to go up against people that just have bigger budget than you, have more, not talent, but just a depth of talent that's deeper than yours. And you look at Team USA's coaching, you had Andy fucking Pettit as the pitching coach. I mean, I can't remember who the hitting coach was off the top of my head, but it was another former major league star. I mean, everything was stacked against you. You played in Japan. You played in Korea for your first round. Now you're playing in Miami for your second round in America. And you still found a way to get it done. So Joe Espada gave him the day off to just relax after that, and I think that was a very fitting way to honor him. But man, what a job! And it was great to see. All of a sudden you're like, That's the Astros bench coach." So it was really cool to see that, and I'm happy for him and happy for Venezuela.
So I'm going to stick with the World Baseball Classic, and I am going to go with my, I guess, heritage countrymen, Team Italia. I looked at their lineup against Venezuela. You talked about, Venezuela not being the stacked lineup. Do you know how many major league regulars were in the Yeah, one. I mean, it was basically Vinny Pascantino, and I think there was like a Boyardee in there, maybe some Radu.
Enzo is a
Yeah, but I mean, you had some guys that I recognized their names, but I'm like, these guys are either quadruple A kind of guys or bench guys. So, and that's a team that made it all the way to the semis. I don't think they had any right to do that, to go that far. And could you imagine if they had won the World Baseball Classic too? I mean, that would just be freaking hilarious. Where you had, I mean, the one guy I think the Royals outfielder I think is gonna be a star probably eventually. I can't pronounce his name, and I'm Italian. Starts with a C, Can Giuliano or something like that. He's probably going to be a star, but he's not one yet. But yeah, I'm with you with Venezuela as well. Did you see Suarez's post-game interview?
I did not know.
I'm just going to say this, CJ Stroud or anybody else, if you come in with this week, I'm going to praise God. You're going to have to up that up about 15 notches because Suarez put you all to school. You got to watch his post-game interview. He's like gyrating everywhere. And he's like yelling out, love God and all this, that. So, to me, if you're going to go like, I just want to thank Jesus for.
First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the opportunity to be here and make this play.
Suarez took it up. He took it up to a level 12. And which makes it seem more genuine. And so I gotta root for that guy. He's no longer a Mariner. So I think I can. He's in the National League. So I feel like
He can't hurt us anymore.
Maybe in a random series in June. But, other than that, I think, I loved it. I love the fact that, Aaron Judge goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Strikes out right after Bryce Harper ties up the game at 2 with a dinger. And you're just and I told you about the meme. I told you off air. There's a meme that shows like Aaron Judge reading this book and he's smiling, and it's How to Be a Clutch Hitter by Jose Altuve. And it's like, yeah, that is about right.
I don't think he actually read it. I think he skimmed it because he missed some key points. But yeah, I don't think there's anybody. I can't think of a good hitter who's worse in the clutch than Aaron fucking Judge. Like, holy shit, it's bad. But no, that's a good tip for Italy, Scott. I enjoyed their run. They were fun. They were young. The espresso machine was a nice it was a nice celebration. I liked the espresso machine. That was fun. Very Italian. It was good. My second tip is kind of an emotional hat tip to AJ Green. Do you read the Players Tribune?
Sometimes, but not very often.
He had a very emotional piece on his teammate that passed away, Mondale, recently.
Okay.
They were teammates AJ's last 2 years together in Arizona, and remained very, very close friends afterwards. And I got to be honest, I could not finish the last few paragraphs. It was very emotional. But I tip my cap to him for taking the time to sit down and write about a young man that he was very, very close with. For putting out there, what he was struggling with, trying to get back from a third, possibly career-ending injury, and some of the lack of resources that the NFL has for guys that are struggling with the fact that they've been away from their clubhouse or their locker room for 2 or 3 years, right? And miss that camaraderie. Um, but it was a hard read. It was an emotional read. It was obviously something you could tell a lot of passion and love was put into. And I just tip my cap to AJ Green for being able to get through that as a writer, because I know it was probably something that he used to process his feelings and his emotions. I can't imagine what he's going through, what the family's going through. But I just appreciate him um putting that out there. It was Rondale Moore was the player. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just as I said, tough read, but I think AJ Green did a really nice job of kind of honoring a family, a friend, and um I don't know. I can't say much more than that, Scott, other than just I want to tip my cap to him for I guess the bravery or the courage to write that.
Yeah, and you mentioned like Braden Smith's issues before with PTSD, for instance, and I think one of the things that I think is been good the last few years, I think, particularly like Simone Biles in the Olympics, is athletes being more upfront about their mental struggles. Because I don't know how much you followed the Simone Biles
Yeah.
story with, and the thing is that and people, God rest his soul, Charlie Kirk, sitting there going off against her, and it's like she's doing all these backflips. Do you want somebody doing that who's not 100% locked in to what they're doing? I mean, I can't imagine playing golf that distraught. And that's low stakes compared to what, these athletes are doing. And so, a guy like AJ Green, I got to hand it to him, because I think the more of these athletes that come out and talk about their struggles, the better off I think everybody's going to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and you know, I appreciate when high priority or high level athletes shine priority on issues like that. Um, it wasn't long ago that it was gauche to talk about mental health in general, right? Like the idea that Tony Soprano was going to see a psychiatrist was crazy in the late '90s. So the idea that an athlete could have PTSD was silly. They're playing a game. How could you have stress, right? So it's nice to talk about it. It's nice to acknowledge it. It'd be better if we could do something to solve it. I think would be the real way to look at it. But let's move on, Scott. It is time to name our scumbags this week. Who do you have for us, Scott?
I've got the Rockets head coach Ime Adoka.
He's getting up there as a multiple time winner for you.
Here's my problem with this, Tim. Number one, just listing him out the issues. Everybody in the gym knew they were going to double Durant. Everybody watching on television, the commentators are like, "Hey, the Lakers are going to start doubling Durant. I wonder how Houston's going to respond." And they didn't. They didn't respond. Come back 2 days later, they still didn't respond. To me, like, I could almost forgive it if it's like Monday night. It's like, shit, well, that happened. We need to come up with a plan on Tuesday for Wednesday's game. They didn't do it. I mean, Durant was a complete non-factor in that game as well. And Durant's always going to get his. He got 18 or 19, I think, in that game, but he was really virtually a non-factor for most of it. But see, and my second problem is that you're going to have to decide, you being Adoka, are you into winning games? Is this your goal? Or is your goal to have the best team moving forward? And this is where he and Raphael Stone need to have that walk down River Oaks, and in between writing tickets for the house being the wrong color beige, they need, if Raphael Stone's going to go like shit, not our year, Shit. If you're the head coach, to me, what I would do is I would be like, we need to develop the players we do have. And who is the guy that we need to develop the most? It's Reed Shepherd. Reed Shepherd needs to be playing 35 minutes a night. He needs to be starting. He needs to be your starting point guard. He needs to be playing. He needs to be starting the game. He needs to be finishing the game. He needs to be playing most of the game. And you know what? There's going to be some defensive issues. Yes. But what has he shown? He's shown that when he plays, he kind of figures out he's kind of a nasty little, pesky little defender. I mean, he blocks some shots, he gets some steals. So he's not completely worthless as a defender. He's undersized, but as a point guard, being 6'3" is not exceptionally undersized. Is he a great passer? No. But if you played him more, maybe he learns and becomes one. And what this does for you is that this gives you more options in the offseason whenever Fred VanVleet comes back. And you sit there and say, do we need to go out and get a backup point guard? Oh, no. You see, Reed Shepherd is actually coming along. It seemed like he was, playing pretty well. I think we're okay there. Let's improve our team in other areas. And if Tari Eason were balling out, I'd be like, okay, I guess I get it. You're trying to win basketball games, but Tari Eason isn't balling out. He's been in a shooting slump for at least a month. And I like Tari Eason. I like the energy he brings, particularly off the bench. I like his defensive energy. I like the fact that he goes after loose balls. I love that about him. But he's not a starting NBA player. He's just not. And when you have a team, and this is where, and you have to start, and this is where I think Udoka thinks purely in terms of defense, and he doesn't think in terms of offense at all. You have to start looking at it. Okay, I've got Amen who cannot shoot from the outside at all. I'm going to put in Eason, who sometimes can shoot, sometimes not. I'm going to put in Bari, who can sometimes shoot, sometimes not. I'm going to put in Sengun, who really shouldn't be shooting threes. And I'm going to have Durant, who can shoot threes. So I'm going to have two guys in the lineup that can shoot on any given night. That's not going to work in the modern NBA. Yeah, with a number of 4s and 5s that can actually space the floor, you can't have two shooters and go like, all right, we got it. Any team that's not throwing out 3 and 4 guys who can space the floor, that's dinosaur basketball. And I don't get it, Tim. I don't get the lack of an offensive system. I don't get the fact that you look at teams that are consistently trapping you, teams that are consistently doubling Durant, teams that are consistently doing the same things to you, and you're just like, I tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. I mean, I'm not ready to fire him necessarily, but you better give him the 2010 Gary Kubiak treatment. You better sit there and say, we're bringing in an offensive coach to be with you, because this shit ain't going to fly anymore.
I'm totally with you. And what's frustrating to me is this is a guy who comes from, a part of a coaching tree of maybe the best NBA coach of my lifetime and Greg Popovich. And there are certain elements of what Ime does that I see as extensions of the Spurs way, right? Some of the ways that he uses Reed Shepherd, kind of similar to what they did with Manu, where he's still getting 28 to 30 minutes a night, but they're spacing him out. He's coming off the bench, yada, yada, yada. But there were times when the Spurs needed Manu to start because the lineup was in flux or whatever, and they did. Pop was willing to change what he did, and Pop had an offensive system. You had a pick and pop game with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker who can get to the rim at will. By the way, Amen can get to the rim at will. How about a little pick and pop with Amen and Alpi Sengun? You had offensive sets, right? Like it's so shocking to me that you spent time with Greg Popovich And all you picked up was you got to have a guy come off the bench for 30 minutes a game. Like, to me, that's seriously all that you picked up out of your whole time in San Antonio was you got to have a really good bench score.
He
Other
probably
than that,
I think he picked up culture.
but
I
our
think
culture's not even that good. Kevin Durant blew up our culture in one
Well, yeah.
fucking burner account.
Yeah, that's true. But I think he picked up culture from Pop. And I think defensively, he's a pretty good basketball coach. He just needs somebody, like he needs to sit there and say, I don't know offense. You run the offense, bring in somebody. And that might be Fertitta or Rafael Stone sits there and says, we're picking a guy for you.
And it's strange to me, Scott, that like the ego on some of these younger coaches where they don't want that. Look at Popovich's assistants throughout the year. Throughout the time that Pop was an NBA coach, he had a litany of guys who were gurus at what they did. Current head coaches, former players. T-Mac was one of them at one point. Like, it seemed to me like he had no ego there. If there was somebody who had something that he could use to be a better coach, come on down, hit I-35, hit I-10, come this way. We'll take you. And it seems to me that the ego on Udoka is massive to take nothing. No, what does his coaching staff have that could give him any advice? Who the fuck on this coaching staff has any offensive theory whatsoever that they can bring out there? Because to me, this coaching staff sucks.
Yeah. All right, Tim, who you got?
This one's going to hit close to home, Scott. For me, at least. As you know, I've been a member at the same golf club for 4 years now. For the most part, enjoy my time out there. It's not private, and so obviously I'm not going to get the butt patting and special treatment I would at a country club. But you know, I do get some amenities. However, any dues increase has to come with approval from city council because this is a municipal golf course. Municipal course goes to city council. They get approval on new rates. It comes out. But you know what they did on top of adding new rates? If you don't pay for your membership up front, they added a 25% every single month fee. So on top of the new raised rate, they were trying to charge an extra $50 a month just because you don't pay the full $3,000 all at once. So they raised the rate and then tried to put a fee on it on top of it and called it a financing fee. Luckily, a good friend of mine works for the IRS and knows there's a lot of rules when you use the term financing. Got city council involved. Next thing you know, they have to walk that fee back. And now we're just at the new raised rates. But to me, the thing that makes them a scumbag is that you tried to fuck over your membership. Membership is the lifeblood of a course. You're never going to survive on random Joe Schmo who plays 3 rounds a year, wakes up on a Saturday and goes, you know what? I'm going to play a little golf today. The people that keep the lights on that course are the people who pay you month in and month out for the privilege to pay. We pay you every month for that service, and we enjoy it every month. To come out and try and just screw us over beyond the amount that city council had approved just because you want to be greedy motherfuckers really, really leaves a bitter taste in my mouth to the point where I've actually got a tour and a complimentary round set up at a local club for Saturday because I'm looking to go elsewhere. Because I don't like the fact that a place that I've given my business to for 4 years is looking just to screw people over.
I was going to say, before we move on, to the other part, I was going to say that CCISD did the same maneuver with the financing. So they called it a convenience fee. So after the pandemic, you could not buy paper tickets. You had to use their online system. And then they charged a convenience fee for using their online system. And it's like, but this is the only way I can buy tickets. This is not
convenient.
Yeah. All right, Tim. For those of y'all who are listening, this is the time where we move out of the sports realm and into the political realm. And so if you want to check out, if you're not into the political thing, this is your opportunity and your warning to do so. Because, Tim, I have got a new game idea for you.
Okay.
I'm going to read you 4 quotes, and we are going to have to hash out which one is the dumbest.
I like it.
You like it? All right, so let me start off with nominee number 1. Got to get on my notes page. There we go. Your Secretary of War and mine, Pete Hegseth, was asked why, the Strait of Hormuz is not open and what was going on there. He said, quote, "The strait would be open except for the Iranian shooting." So there's your first nominee.
Okay.
So basically, so Miss Lincoln, other than that thing happening, how was the play? So there is nominee number
Strong
1.
start.
Strong start. So we bring in the Energy Secretary, Tim, on the Sunday talk shows. This is Chris Wright, by the way. And he was asked about basically what was your planning? Did y'all do any planning about the Strait of Hormuz and what the Iranian response would be? And he said, "No, it happened because it's right near the Iranian shoreline." So to give you a little bit, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into think how stupid this quote is, Tim. Sawyer comes home with, let's say, a failed spelling test. And you're going to ask her, "Sawyer, why'd you fail your spelling test?" "Because I made a 50.
That sounds like an answer I would actually get.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, the reason why it's so difficult to tourist, because it is right on the Iranian shoreline. But I think what we're asking you, Chris, was, did y'all ever give any thought to this maybe happening before you bomb the country? Just tossing that out there. Just craziness. Now, nominee number 3, Tim. This one, I think, is my personal favorite. This is from former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. So you ready for this one? This one's a little longer.
Okay.
"Instead of fighting over a 21-mile wide bottleneck forever, we cut a new channel through friendly territory. A dozen thermonuclear detonations, and you've got a waterway wider than the Panama Canal and deeper than the Suez, and safe from Iranian attacks."
Gotta be honest, that's our clubhouse leader. We got a clubhouse leader, folks.
Because that is peak, like 5 martinis in guy at the end of the bar.
What if we just like blew a hole and then the water would flow through the hole, man? Like, have you ever thought about like just blowing some holes and shit? I think that could work. And then the other guy who's 7 martinis deep goes, "Fuck, that could work."
All right. Well, this guy 7 martinis in is passed out on the barroom floor.
That's a professional drinker, Scott. He doesn't pass out.
Oh, you didn't tell me he was the second guy in the barroom. All right.
Surprise.
Last nominee. Have you heard of Kevin Hassett?
I have not.
I think he is an advisor he's an advisor to the president. And I think he's what some people call an energy vampire, because he's never speaking from inside the White House. He's speaking from outside the White House, because you know how you have to invite a vampire in. So here's what he said. "If the war were to be extended, it really wouldn't disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about that. But that's really the last of our concerns right now."
What the fuck is the economy?
So yeah, I love that. Just speaking the quiet part out loud. And if you're a Democrat running for office, you need to have a clip of that. Just play it at every campaign stop. Consumers, they don't give a shit about you.
Okay, that's the winner, Scott, by the way.
Fi-
That
Five
that
dollar
one
gas.
that one is somehow dumber than the idea of planting thermonuclear warheads in the ground and blowing them up all at the same time to create a new fucking lazy river to get our oil through. That one is dumber. That to me is like the South Park episode where Randy comes up with the idea that the economy is to be worshipped, right? And they're like, "Oh, we've upset the economy. We need it." Like he's sitting there like
Oh, I love.
worship. That to me is what they're doing. Like the economy is this fucking deity, and the consumers don't matter. Okay, no, the consumers are everything that matters in an economy. You dumb fuck.
Well, I love the fact that he's like Randy in that episode was like, and we should have eat slices for dinner and wear bed sheets and margaritas. Yay!
Yeah, and Marguerite, and there's just the whole time Stan's going like different levels, trying to. Well, you see, we took all the people who bought margaritas, like your parents, and he put all those into one big margarita fund, and then those margarita funds were sold in general to a big bank that likes to buy margarita funds. The
It's worth 10
problem is,
trillion.
people like your dad don't want to pay for their margarita machines anymore,
It's worth 10 trillion. That doesn't make any sense. But no.
and it's gone.
All right, Tim. So here's what I propose, and I have to give a hat tip to Sean Pendergrass and Seth Payne. They do this kind of thing, but I'm going to take it to the political realm. So basically, what they do is they pick a winner, and that winner is automatically the defending champion next week. And so you and I, we can probably find 2 additional quotes next week. But Mr. Hassett, you are number 1 in the clubhouse coming in next week. So you think that's a plan?
I'm in. Well, I'll keep an eye out for. Is Orange Man exempt from this due to your Lenten promise?
No, we can go ahead. You can nominate him. I won't nominate him. The one that I almost picked, there was I got kind of deep faked. There was a Caroline Levitt quote talking. You probably heard this one. Talking about president's not racist. He likes black people, brown people, yellow people, and normal people. But unfortunately, that was satire.
That's a shame.
That would have been my winner.
It's a shame that like we have to like because she would say that like it's a say that you have to double like did she actually because we live in a world. I also like the one where Donald Trump said that a former president told him
Oh yes.
that he wished he had attacked Iran when he was and he's like was it Bush? No. Was it Clinton? I can't say, they wouldn't really like me to reveal it. But it's like, okay, we know it wasn't Obama because he's not going to fucking reach out to you. So then it's like, there's a clip of like Jon Stewart like making fun of the fact that he's sitting there talking to like Chester or Garfield painting on the wall. He's like, "Yeah, I should have got Iran." Like,
well, obviously wasn't Biden, right? So
the fucking ghost of Ronald Reagan came to Donald Trump in the middle of the night and told him, "Great job." The ghost. Hang on, let me make it even better. The ghost comes to Donald Trump and he gives him the quote: "Heroes live forever, but legends never die." Donald.
No, Tim. I don't think Donald Trump lied.
He sandlotted him.
He said a former president. He didn't say president of what?
Gaddafi's ghost.
It could be just like I'm the president of what was it the one that Giuliani went to?
Oh, the landscaping. I'm the president, former president of Four Seasons Landscaping Associated.
I would have.
I think it's the ghost of Muammar Gaddafi who came to him in a dream, Sandlot style, and said, "Donald, heroes live forever, but legends never die. Way to bomb Iran." All right, that was it, man. I wish I would have done that. Sincerely yours, Muammar Gaddafi.
See him like being a picture in the White House, his arm around like Benjamin Harrison, William Henry Harrison. Yeah.
Fucking tipper canoe. Hey.
All right, folks. I think we've run this one into the ground. But stay tuned. For those of y'all that enjoyed that segment, stay tuned for next week and see if somebody can knock Kevin Hassett off of his plateau.
And for those who do stick around, we'll do our best to find some great quotes. We appreciate everyone who stuck around today, and we will see you next week on Born on the Bayou Sports.